Hello card friends, I'm Chaz and this is Rainbow Reverse. It's been a little while, life's been kinda hectic, but you know how that goes. I won't waste your time with it. We're gonna get straight into today's topic. We're gonna talk about revival selection and how to take the base for the cards released in that and get some other cards to turn that into a full-blown premium deck. This video is not a deck profile and it will not be telling you how to build your deck. It is also not a definitive list of every possible card you could play in Premium. I will be focusing on specific clans that I know how to talk about. So in this first video, we will be covering Royal Paladin. As it is well documented, I am famously a Royal Paladin player. And what's great about revival selection is it focuses around Alfred and blasters, which happens to be the archetype that I main and know quite a bit about. So hopefully this video can be helpful to you to start your premium journey. If you are already an experienced premium player, you might not get as much out of this video, but if you are watching anyway, thank you. And feel free to drop any helpful hints to budding Royal Paladin premium players in the comments, or throw in any cards that I might not have listed that you think are very good. We'll start by what is in the revival selection itself. I'll start off here with King of Knights Alfred. This is the grade 3. Every clan in the selection gets a grade 3. This one is a bit of a strange choice in my opinion because I don't think it's super playable by modern standards, but it's a cute inclusion, I guess. Its skill is Continuous Vanguard Circle. Your units cannot boost this unit. Continuous Vanguard Circle. During your turn, this unit gets plus 2,000 power for each of your Royal Paladin rear guards. Act, Vanguard or Rear Guard Circle. Counterblast 3. Search your deck for up to one grade 2 or less Royal Paladin. Call it to Rear Guard Circle and shuffle your deck. Again, I don't think you're really going to want to play this card because it's a little old feeling. The cost is high and it doesn't do too much. If you are really married to playing an Alfred or a King of Knights Alfred in particular, you have other options. The V Series one at least has higher base power and a force marker if you're looking for that. And there are a couple other Alfreds that were released later that you could check out possibly. I think this one's a fun little inclusion, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend running it in your deck. Every clan also gets a stand trigger. The stand trigger that we're looking at for Royal Paladin is Encourage Angel, which skill is Auto, GB1. When this unit is placed on Rear Guard Circle, choose up to 2 of your other units, and you may have those units get plus 3,000 power until the end of turn. If you do, return this unit to your deck and shuffle your deck. I don't think stand triggers are super essential for the blaster build in particular. However, if you did want to run them, you get this nice little one there with your revival selection pack. Alright, now let's get into a card that I think you do want to play for sure, is Favored Pupil of Light and Dark Lu. It's a grade 2 unit with 9,000 power. Its skill is Auto Rear Guard Circle. When this unit is boosted by a unit named Blaster Friend Barkle or Floral Paladin Flogal, until the end of that battle, this unit gets plus 3,000 power and Auto Rear Guard Circle, Counterblast 1, and put this unit into your soul. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to one grade 2 card with Blaster in its card name. Call it to Rear Guard Circle, shuffle your deck, and that unit gets plus 3,000 power until the end of turn. This is great for searching out Blaster Blades in particular, but if you run other grade 2 blasters, you can certainly call them out with this skill as well. Next up is a card mentioned in that last card, Floral Paladin Flogal. This is a critical trigger, grade 0 with 4k power. Auto Rear Guard Circle, Counterblast 1. At the end of the battle that your unit named Blaster Blade attacked a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to one of your units named Blaster Blade on Rear Guard Circle, stand it. Return this unit to your deck and shuffle your deck. So this is cool because it allows you to multi-attack with your Blaster Blade. Again, it is Blaster Blade, not a card with Blaster Blade in the name. And then you get to put the crit back into your deck to allow you to either use it again later or hopefully even check it as a critical. This next one is a card that is a maybe in my opinion, depends on how you want to build your deck, but it is Swordsman of Light Blaster Javelin La Ruse. It's grade 2 with 9k power, skill, auto. Choose 2 cards from your hand and put them into your soul. When this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Alfred in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 2 high beasts, call them to separate open rearguard circles, and shuffle your deck. Now, you have to specifically have an Alfred Vanguard, so it is somewhat limiting depending on your build, but it does allow you to basically pull out Floral Paladin Flogals, or even Blaster Friend Barkles, or maybe other high beasts if you run them, so you can get them on the field to start doing combos. Again, this is a very build-specific card, so it's a maybe in my opinion. Next up in defensive options, we got the G-Guard, Holy Beast Divine Maskell. Its skill is Auto, GB1, choose a face down, G-Guardian in your G-Zone, and turn it face up. When this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, if there is a rear guard in your front row, you may pay the cost. If you do, this unit gets plus 10,000 shield until the end of battle. So it is a super easy 25k shield. As long as you have a front row unit, it just is. So it's pretty nice. I would recommend running this. Maybe not as like a 4 of, but it's just a solid card to have in your G zone. And then the Stride Royal Paladin gets a pretty solid card that I definitely recommend running at least 1 copy of is Holy Divine Knight Gancelot Peace Saver. Its skill is Auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks, if you have a Heart card with Alfred or Blaster in its card name, countercharge 1. And until the end of that battle, this unit gets Drive +1. Then, if you have a face-up card in your G-Zone, this unit gets Critical +1. So, pretty solid skill all the way around. You get to countercharge, get an extra card off your drive check, and if you've already called a G-Guard or have already done a Stride, you just get an extra crit to add a little more pressure to the attack. But its second skill is my favorite part about this card. It's continuous G-Zone. During your turn, if this card is face up, all of your rearguards with Blaster Blade in their card names get continuous rearguard circle resist, which is great for when you're playing against a clan that may be able to disrupt your field during your turn. This will prevent your Blaster Blade from being retired, maybe locked. So, very solid card. Like I said, I recommend at least 1 of these, but if you don't have a lot of cards, running 4, also solid. So that's everything in the actual Revival selection itself. It's a very good base for getting us started and building our Blaster-centric Royal Paladin premium deck. The rest of these cards are things you can pick up in various quantities to try and build your deck. There are other cards that I will not list that are also good, and if you think I missed an important one, please, like I said, drop it in the comments. We'll start with our triggers. You can pretty much run your trigger lineup however you personally like, but of course I recommend 4 heals of some variety depending on your taste. Some mix of draw PGs is usually recommended as well. But the specific premium cards that I think are super good is Centiflare Draco Kid, which skill is continuous hand. When paying the cost for Stride, this card may be discarded as a grade 3. So basically these are called Stride fodder crits. You just drop it from your hand, you get to Stride without getting rid of a grade 3 you might need, or multiple cards if you have to add up to grade 3. And then the other premium collection crit is Amulet Pure Eagle. Auto Rearguard Circle GB1. When your Vanguard attacks, put this unit into your soul, draw a card, and one of your Vanguards gets plus 10,000 power until the end of that battle. This one you might not run as many of in your deck depending on what your trigger lineup looks like, but it still has some good utility if you do need it, and it's better to run it over a vanilla anyway. As far as starters are concerned, you can run a V starter, being able to draw one and potentially get a quick shield is super useful, and I find them to be a fair thing to run. If you want to look at some older starters to run, I think Wingle Brave is a very good one. It has the Forerunner skill. When another Royal Paladin rides this unit, you may call this card to Rearguard Circle. So it comes out to your field, and then auto Rearguard Circle, put this unit into your soul. When an attack hits during the battle that this unit boosted a unit with Blaster in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to one card with Blaster in its card name, reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So it basically just allows you to grab any Blaster you want from anywhere in your deck and put it into your hand. It does have to hit, so there is some cost effect to skills like that, but just being able to grab any Blaster out of your deck, especially if you need it, can come in really handy. Then, of course, what would a Blaster-centric Royal Paladin deck be without the man himself, Blaster Blade? Its first skill is Continuous Vanguard Circle. If you have 4 or more rear guards, this unit gets critical +1. This doesn't come up all the time, but if you try to rush your opponent early, you can get a crit. Or if you are playing V Gantz a lot, you can have the Blaster Blade's new Vanguard Circle become a crit as well, so that can be handy. And then auto Vanguard Rearguard Circle when placed, Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the front row and retire it. This can be nice to get rid of some pesky rear guards your opponent may have that are causing you trouble. I don't always use this skill depending on resources and what I'm playing against, but again, just super useful utility if you need it. And again, this is like the main card of your deck. You want to have these on your field because you're going to try to restand them, give them power, etc. This grade 1 Blaster Friend Barkle is super great as well. I highly recommend running this as 3 or 4 in your Blaster build. Its skill is auto Rearguard Circle. When your card named Blaster Blade is placed on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle in the same column as this unit, if you have a Vanguard with Blaster in its card name, countercharge 1. This can be used whenever you want, so that's nice. This can be one of the cards that can boost Lou to activate his skill. So Lou's skill is Counterblast 1, and then you can call a Blaster Blade with it, and then it countercharges it, essentially making the skill costless. So that is also great. Then personally, I like to recommend your main grade 3 for this kind of build being the V Majesty Lord Blaster. It has 13k base power, but its other skill, Continuous Vanguard Rearguard Circle, if Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark are in your soul, then this unit gets +1 critical. And if this unit is on Vanguard Circle, it gets +5000 power and drive +1. Now what's really great about that skill is on your opponent's turn, your Vanguard will still be 18k as a base, making you harder to hit and making it easier to guard. It's one of the reasons I really like running this as a boss. And then its other skill is auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks, put 2 rear guards into your soul and get 2 imaginary gift force. This is good to help you get your Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark in the soul for using its first skill, or you could also later throw other things into it just to farm force markers if you need them. There's some other grade 3 boss units you could run. Thingsaver Dragon certainly has good potential to work with blasters, obviously. But I really like Majesty as the main card for this premium build at least. But there's also, like I said, you could run V Alfred if you want to go the Alfred direction and use LaRue's and stuff like that. And then, of course, if you are using Majesty, you're going to want to include Blaster Dark. There are several versions of Blaster Dark to choose from throughout the series. I personally like running the one that has the Royal Paladin text, just in case I can get around any chance that maybe my triggers wouldn't activate. It's a pretty niche situation, but it could happen. Some people might want to opt to run the newer Overdress Blaster Dark, which is also a fine option. I think it really just comes down to your preference on how you want things to work out. But that twin drive, when you're riding on grade 2 either way, comes in super handy. And again, for the Majesty route that I've kind of taken with this, it doesn't hurt to run maybe 1 or 2 copies of When Light and Darkness Intersects, which basically allows you to search a Blaster Blade, a Blaster Dark, or a Majesty Lord Blaster, depending on which card you have on your field. Not the most essential card, but it comes in handy sometimes. Now, generic support for Royal Paladin that works in almost every build. Excellent card. Absolute Blade Knight Levero, the V version. He's grade 2 with 10k power, and his skill is Auto, Vanguard, and Rearguard Circle. When placed from hand, Counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 grade 2 card, call it to an open Rearguard Circle, and shuffle your deck. If you have no face-up cards in your damage zone, you may pay Soul Blast 1 for this cost. This allows you basically to pull out Blaster Blade if you don't have another way to get it out, or if you have just another grade 2 you want on your field, like maybe a Lou, you can grab that as well. And since you can use the Soul Blast for his cost if you're choked on Counterblast, maybe say you have a Blaster Friend Barkle on the other side of the field, you call down Levero, and then you call down Blaster Blade, you now get a Counterblast back to use for whatever reason. Then the V Wingle Brave, I recommend running because it helps you grab your blasters. If you are running the starter Wingle Brave, you can only run 3, but that's probably fine anyway. Its skill is Auto, Vanguard, Rearguard Circle. When its attack or the attack it boosted hits a Vanguard, look at 7 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with Blaster and its card name from among them, and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. Some on-hit pressure that allows you to plus if you do hit, which again in premium, depending on the matchup, mixed results maybe, but certainly a great way to plus if you need it. And then, again in the vein of searching for cards, we have our grade 3 searcher, Laurel Knight Sisylis. Same skill as all other grade 3 searchers. When placed from hand, look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 grade 3 card from among them, and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck, and if you put a card in your hand, discard a card from your hand. That's great to look for Majesty Lord Blaster or an Alfred if you're running it. Just helps you not miss riding grade 3. Or later in the game, it can help you grab stuff to use as stride fodder if need be. And then his other skill is Continuous Vanguard Rearguard Circle. During your turn, if you have no face-up cards in your damage zone, this unit gets plus 5,000 power. This may happen, it may not happen. Don't worry about it too much, but in the cases where it becomes a 13k, not bad. Looking at defensive options, you can always run Sentinels in any way that you find fit. I think that Aegis Mare Dragon from Overdress can be handy in this deck especially. Another one that I recommend considering is Maiden of Divine Spring Lien. That is a grade 1 Sentinel, 6k power. Auto, Soul Blast 1. When this unit is placed on Guardian Circle from hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your grade 3 units with Alfred or Blaster in its card name that is being attacked, and it cannot be hit until the end of that battle. So it basically allows you to perfect guard for a Soul Blast instead of a discard. But it is somewhat situational in that this card must be placed from hand, so there's no cheating around it, and it has to be a grade 3 Alfred or Blaster. So in most cases, that'll just be your Vanguard. So maybe running as a 4 of, not highly recommended, but as a tech option, something you can consider. And staying in the realm of defensive options, we're now going over to G-Zone cards. One I definitely recommend is Little Great Sage Marin. Its skill is Auto, Soul Blast 1. When this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, if you have a Vanguard with Alfred or Blaster in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 grade 1 or greater card, call it to Guardian Circle, and it gets plus 5,000 shield until the end of battle. Shuffle your deck. So this can be used to grab a grade 1 or a grade 2 just to add some shield from deck if you need it. It also gets around certain guarding restrictions. But what's great is you can go back and get a V or Overdress grade 1 perfect guard that doesn't need to be placed from hand, and you can search that and call it to your rearguard circle, also allowing you to get around certain guard restrictions, such as specifically Sentinel restricts. So I highly recommend this card at some amount. It has saved my life in very sticky situations. Another one is Great Flash Assault. Skill auto. Counterblast 1. When this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, if you have a Vanguard with Alfred or Blaster in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, this unit gets plus 5,000 shield for each of your rearguards until the end of battle. So this could be up to potentially a 40k shield for the cost of a Counterblast if you have a full field. You don't always want to call this one out depending on your resources and what your field looks like, but in the right situation, it can come in handy, so I recommend usually keeping at least one around. And going to the other side of the G zone with our actual G unit strides, one that is great is Divine Knight King Alfred Holy Saver. Its skill is Act Vanguard Circle once per turn, GB2, Counterblast 1, and choose a face-down card with the same name as this card from your G-Zone and turn it face up. Choose a card from your hand and discard it. If you have a heart card with Alfred or Blaster in its card name, choose up to one of your rear guards with Blaster Blade in its card name, and until the end of turn, it gets plus 3,000 power and continuous rearguard circle. During this unit's first battle of the turn, this unit performs Twin Drive. This basically allows you to get 5 drive checks during your turn, which is pretty awesome. And especially if you stack a lot of power on Blaster Blade, then use Flogal to restand it, you can land a pretty devastating attack. You need to run at least 2 if you run it, since it uses the Persona flip, but if you don't run a lot of other stuff, 4 of it isn't too bad because you can go into it twice. And then of course, the premium collection strides for Royal Paladin are both very solid, and I highly recommend Holy Dragon, Crystal Luster Dragon as a 4 of, especially if you're going Majesty Lord Blaster. Its skill, Act Vanguard Circle once per turn, turn a card from your G-Zone face up, and until the end of turn, this unit gets all of the original abilities of one of your heart cards. So it basically is whatever your grade 3 Vanguard is, plus its stride power and the triple drive, which is great if you're riding Majesty Lord Blaster, because then it gets a crit and becomes quad drive, which is super nice. And its second skill, which can also help you finish games or at least push really hard, is Continuous Vanguard Circle GB3. If you have 3 or more grade 2 or greater units, when your opponent would call from their hand to Guardian Circle, they must call 3 or more cards at the same time. Basically meaning they either have to drop a lot of hand to defend against your attacks, or they have to not defend because they don't have the option to. It is really great, like I said, for pushing for game. And if you've got a Blaster Blade that's attacking more than once that you've put a lot of triggers on, that might be it. And the other premium collection stride is Divine Knight of Twin Absolutes, Saint of Twin Sword. It has 2 skills. The first is Auto Vanguard Circle. When it attacks a Vanguard while boosted, Counterblast 1 and turn a card from your G-Zone face up. Search your deck for up to 2 grade 2 cards, call them to separate rearguard circles, and shuffle your deck. This is great when you just need to get some more stuff on board, or if you need to set up for some more combos. Really solid. Its second skill really helps with that first skill, in that it is Auto Vanguard Circle. When your rear guard is placed from deck, that unit gets plus 5,000 power until the end of turn for each face-up card in your G-Zone. So that works for its own skill to plus some power, but if you have other things, like Lou, that will call from your deck, you can give them that power as well. And if you stride this a little bit later, after having some more cards face up in your G-Zone, the power that it will add will be much, much more. And then, of course, if you want, obviously, you can include Ultima for its skills, The Xerath dragons should hopefully be more affordable pending these reprints, but I can't say for sure. I don't think the deck absolutely needs it to win. I think you can certainly win using Crystal Luster and Majesty Lord Blaster in combination. I've done it plenty of times, but you know, Xerath dragons have pretty wild skills, especially Ultima, that can help you close games. So there you have it. That is a list of cards you can add to your Revival selection set in order to build yourself a premium Royal Paladin deck. Blaster-centric, of course. And obviously there are lots of other cards you can choose from. There are so many cards, in particular for Royal Paladin, that have been released over the years. If you think that there is a card that is super essential that I missed, please drop it in the comments below to help some of our new Royal Paladin premium players out. And I hope if you're checking out this video to build yourself a premium Royal Paladin deck, that it was helpful for you in some way. I intend to make some deck profiles in the near future, but I just wanted to wait for the new premium ban list to come out before I made any final decisions like that. So, thank you all for watching. This has been Rainbow Reverse, wishing you all the best. Bye!